So if I was BMW's agency and I came to you, I would sit down with one of your account
executives, yep.
And he would kind of tell me how it worked, tell me how to get started.
Yes.
And say, because I normally buy magazines. So you'd come and say, here's what Road and Track can do. Here's why it's good for you. Here's why, U.S. Car Racer is good for you. Do you do the same thing? You've got all these websites where you got 20 million people a month hit this website. This is what's good about it. Here's the demographic. Do you pitch individual websites?
We do. We don't represent individual websites, but we promote them to BMW. Here's the portfolio of sites in the exchange. Here's ones based on what we've seen in the past that we think you'd be most successful with. Absolutely, we do that. And on the BMW side, we work with their agency to help them come up with what those campaigns can be. Look at us as an integration company, so we're integrated with all the third parties out there. Email, software-based programs that track consumers and how they're interacting with the emails. Coupon applications, we're integrated with them.
Once the leads come in, you've got APIs out to all the major players.
Thousands of companies out there. And so we're able to track data as it moves around online and offline and associate the value of the data then back to BMW to help them understand how valuable that data is and back to where the data was acquired from so they can understand how to get more valuable data.
So I'm BMW and I want to get an idea, okay, we got these 3 buckets. What's it going to cost me? You guys got a pretty good idea. You got to ask me what my opt-in is, right? What my offer is. Because really what's important, the publishers only get paid when something converts.
Yes.
So you got to have an offer.
Yes.
So do you work with the agency on what the offer might need to be?
Yeah.
And how much the lead cost might need to be for them to even get on the radar?
Yes. We look at it at 2 levels as LeadPoint. So you have a lead. Is anyone fighting for the lead? Some of our categories are agnostic, like mortgage. A consumer enters a blind inquiry and then a number of companies want to purchase that lead through our software in an auction-based model. That's one mechanism. This particular mechanism we're discussing with BMW, once that lead's generated, the only person it's going to is BMW. It's their data. So then the battleground pushes up front to actually the publisher level. So now what BMW is competing for is for publishers to run that BMW offer in that inventory versus other offers that they can run. And the name of that game is simply monetization is the name of that game.
You've got the auction process, is that on your site?
That's on our site. We handle that auction mechanism.
So I'm at BMW, I want to pay as little as I can for a quality lead.
You want to pay as little as you can?
You have a quality score.
Yes.
Like Google does, which has to do with, are you offering a free car? Are you offering, what are you offering? So how do you help them, how do you get an idea of whether or not their offer will run or not? If you don't know what their offer is, you know what their conversion rates are.
You got to get the benchmark data. We can provide guidance as to what similar campaigns are performing at, and we can make suggestions, but until you actually get out there and run a test, the good news is it's the internet. It's easy to run a test. We have tons of companies that will run a test with BMW to see the data, and you can run it at a low frequency to get your baseline. Once you get your baseline, then BMW can be off and running and understand where they need to be priced. Maybe the program doesn't work. Maybe they're not willing to pay the price point that's required to pull consumers who are accessing that inventory. It might not work.
A better offer,
yes,
or a better cost per lead.
That's correct. That's correct. One of the two has to change for it to work for the different classes of publishers out there.
So I'm BMW, I'm running something that's working, but all of a sudden my leads drop off. For some reason, someone else outbid me. How do I know? Does your account supervisor call me and say, hey, you got to do something better. You got to raise your lead cost. Do I enter it myself at BMW, or do you guys do it for us? How does that work?
BMW or their agency is in our software, and they see all the knobs, they touch them, they play with it, they adjust it on their own.
On their own.
They have full control. It's like Google. Google's paid search. You're in there.
They do their own ad, they do their offer.
It's all you. It's all you. You have full control over your brand, what you want to pay, the resulting quality that you're going to get, and what price points you're going to associate with it are all in your camp, your decisions.
And people are adopting to this, just like AdSense are happy to get in and play with it. You're not having to hold hands too much.
We're not having to hold hands too much. So the categories that we have the highest level of penetration in as LeadPoint are the more mature categories. So we're in mortgage, credit card debt, education. Those are lead gen categories where there's many buyers of those leads and they understand performance-based marketing from an online perspective and how it works, and it's a very rich and healthy market.
BMW, Procter & Gamble, Kraft, McDonald's.
They're learning. They're diving in and they're learning. So it's a slower ramp. Their transition to the online world is a slower ramp, but Procter & Gamble's a huge player in mobile, so they get it, they understand it. They're allocating those dollars to those areas and they're learning. I believe that they'll begin to shift those dollars from more offline dollars will come online as they better understand how to develop programs that they can actually track and associate value to. And I believe that shift will be a rapid one over the next 1 to 2 years. You know, in Procter & Gamble time, it's a 3 to 5 year cycle. In internet time, that's a lifetime. But that's not a long period of time for those dollars to shift over, and it's beginning to happen now.
What about the kind of places you get your leads from? Email, from co-reg, from banner ads, from what we call hybrid banner ads, where it's got a banner ad, but then you can type your name and email address into it. How do you differentiate those, or how do those players work with you?
Yep, so they all play with us. So email, display, organic search, paid search, co-reg, incentivize can even play with us. We don't deal with much of that traffic, but it can. The mechanism is in our software to turn it on or off. All of those types of media can be accessed through our software, and it can easily, we have publishers that are of different flavors. Some publishers are display publishers. Some publishers own house files on our emailers. I also have direct marketers that are arbitraging the display on behalf of a BMW. So BMW doesn't even have to completely go out and reach the publishers on their own. If they come in our software, some direct marketers may say, hey, BMW, I'll go and buy the media myself out there. So some sites may not be ready to allocate their media to a performance-based marketing model. So therefore you need the direct marketer to go in and arbitrage it, or BMW to take a principal position. That model lives in our software.
So basically a company that has some great ideas about how to get brands into social media and leads, they could come to you, they could set up the account, and then they would get money from BMW. They would figure out how to make it work and do an arbitrage and find a way to make a living. There are companies doing that currently with you.
Yes, there are companies doing it, not on a BMW brand basis, but there's companies that are doing that in the categories where we're rich and deep in, on a brand basis. So in education, companies are doing that exact model. So the model works. We haven't done it with a McDonald's or a BMW, but the technology and model supports it, and that's where we're going.
Would you be interested in working with a company that was moving that area?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Look at us as a technology platform with thousands of integrations out there, rich analytics, digital insertion orders to connect your budget across to multiple online and offline channels, and aggregation of those online and offline channels. All of that in a nice pretty box with a bow on it is what LeadPoint delivers to you as a BMW.